And we're live. Welcome back to another installment of ENTP Life Live. It has been a while since, I feel like it's been a while since I've done one of these, mainly because I've been making babies. I've been making babies and just trying to get a lot done all in a 24-hour day. So YouTube has taken a bit of a backseat. I'm also restructuring how I approach ENTP Life. I'm looking to approach it a little more professionally, given that the community is growing, and of course, thank you guys all for participating in what we're doing here. And I wanted to get a little more focused and really zero in on the the overall vision for the channel and for the community that we're building here. So I've been working on that, really restructuring what ENTP Life is going to be about. It's still going to be about this ENTP living his life. But I'm trying to do it in a more professional way, in a more focused way. So I've been building a team to help me support, or building a team to support me on that, in addition to kind of everything else that I'm doing. So this week's video that we put out was a kind of continuation of the story of how to start a home care agency. Now, many of you already know that my primary businesses are home health care and healthcare staffing, as well as real estate investing. That's how I make my money. That's what fuels my lifestyle and what fuels all the other ventures that I do. I would say those are the top two. My other streams of income I have listed in the channel, which include stock trading, Airbnb, what else? Stock trading, Airbnb, consulting. I'm sure there's some others. There's more than 6, but I know I cover that in the channel. But anyway, that's how I feel my lifestyle. And one of the things that I saw on the internet or in YouTube is that there wasn't really much coverage on healthcare entrepreneurship. There's a lot of healthcare professionals that get worked to the bone, especially during this pandemic, and are looking for a way to take control of their own financial future, take control of their careers. And I was like, what? They don't really cover these industry groups that I'm in on the internet. And I decided I was just going to talk about it as I was spooling up yet another home care agency in Florida. So this week's live, I covered where you can start a home care agency without a license. One of the most difficult parts about starting a home care agency is the licensing requirement. And that licensing requirement is really something that will throw people off, right? Like most people can't get through it. Is my volume coming? I hope it is. Oh, just let me know if my volume is here. Just kind of, please, just tell me yes. My audio is coming over. So I just want to make sure that I can be heard and there isn't any issues. I'll assume that I can be, and I'll leave it at that until somebody tells me that they can't hear me. Okay. So there are 4 states that don't require a license, and the hardest part for most people is actually getting licensed. You have to come up with policy and procedures. You have to. Okay, thank you, Sun Goddess, for clarifying. You have to create your policy and procedures, employ your founding team. You need to set up your offices, make sure that your policy and procedures are consistent with the state regs. You also have to really start. In some states, you have to actually build a patient base in order for that patient base to be reviewed and audited. It's quite a lot, and it can take people years. I know when my mother and I first started, it took us about 4 or 5 years to get the initial licensing from the time that we started. This was pre-internet, not much information available, kind of piecing it together as we could, and we got it going. But if we had quit early on, we wouldn't have developed the company that we did today. So I think knowing that there's states out there that don't have a license really kind of helps to at least allow people in those states to go forward. And those states are Massachusetts, Michigan, Iowa, and Ohio. Let me make sure I have that right. I believe those were the four that I listed. And shout outs to the Savvy Business Chick who actually did a post covering that. She did the research to figure out which states did and did not. I knew for sure that Michigan did it because another consultant I worked with told me that Michigan doesn't require a license. But I was really surprised about the Massachusetts piece. Anyway, so for those of you who are here watching, thinking about getting started, even if you're in one of those states that does not require a license, I think it's kind of important that even though that it doesn't require a license, you still have to approach it as if it were a licensed state. Yeah, Ohio. That's right. So if you're in Ohio, you don't need a license in that state. But be careful because in Ohio, even though they don't require a license, you really should be running your agency with the same sort of mindset, right? You need to do, like, whenever you look at the policy and procedures for most states, it's really focused on ensuring the safety of the patient and ensuring that you're hiring competent and safe workers, and ways to monitor and manage your organization to ensure that you maintain a high level of quality and high standards. That's what the licensing process is meant to do, and that's what the regulations are there for. So if you're in that unregulated state, you should approach your business as if it were a regulated state. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is you could reach out to a consultant that is in one of your neighboring states or a state that has kind of like the same political leanings, as the regulations would kind of look and feel the same. Actually, when you look at all the states that are regulated, from what I've seen, they're pretty much kind of concerned with the same things, right? Patient safety, a good quality assurance program, making sure that you're functioning with, good infection control programs, good continuing education programs, good staff recruiting and management programs, and ultimately governing and watching how you treat patients to ensure that patients aren't getting abused and or taken advantage of in some sort of way. It's all pretty much the same rhetoric. So if you work with a consultant from a regulated state or that's used to working with regulated states, they can pretty much frame out your business in the right way so that at least you have a framework that you're falling into, a system that you're following, that even if your state were to become licensed, that it wouldn't be too hard for you to adjust and make that pivot. And at the same time, you're not thinking of how to stay compliant on your own, right? How are you going to dream up policy and procedures with no framework, with no licensing structure? So I would always recommend, even if your state is not regulated, get a consultant to put you on the right track and frame you up in the right way. Now, when you're looking at that process in itself, it shouldn't cost you that much because you're paying for boilerplate policies, you're paying for some coaching. You could probably get that all done for less than $10,000. And even though there isn't a license and you're not paying a license fee, at least you have, I would say months to years worth of work at your fingertips, ready for you to use, and so on. So, it's kind of a sensational topic to say, oh, you don't need a license. It's not like you could go willy-nilly and do whatever you want. But keep in mind, you're dealing with people's lives, you're dealing with patients. You should do what's right. And I think what's right is at least follow some sort of license framework so, everything works appropriately. Now, if anybody has any questions on that, please feel free. This is going to be a relatively short live. I'm here in Medellin, Colombia. I'm in the process of setting up my corporation here, as well as, that's with the first part of me applying for full-time residency here. So I'm starting a business down here. It's really an extension of ENTP Life. The name of the business is actually ENTP Life. So that's going to be some more of my support. The staff that I hire here, whether it's outsourced staff that's going to be kind of handling processes for me in the States, or it's staff that's going to be working with me directly on content creation, video production, and that sort of thing. That's what I have going on down here. I'm also setting up another Airbnb project here in Colombia. My first one failed, but I didn't quit. We're just kind of reshaping and redesigning our approach to the same business. Main reason we failed, we were kind of catering to a kind of transient hostel crowd that were more economic in a way, or like economy rentals, and the pandemic wiped us out. So this time around, we're catering towards large groups, so that want more of a luxury setup. And the reason for that is that the luxury customer doesn't get really shaken too much during economic downturns, and they still want a high quality of a stay. And if they're traveling groups, a lot of the places don't accommodate large groups. So that's pretty much what we're doing this time around. So tonight I'm going to a restaurant called Colossal. I'm going to be meeting up with some friends, grabbing dinner, grabbing drinks. And I just did a live walkthrough of this apartment here that is also an Airbnb rental. It's a 1-bedroom rental. I think I'm paying like $50 a night. Let me check real quick. I'm just reading. Yeah, it's Thursday, Friday. It's $50. Yeah, something like $50 a night plus my cleaning fee. So it's $150 from Thursday, Friday, check out Saturday. So $75 a night after the cleaning fees are included. And it's a pretty nice place. If you want to see what that looks like, just go over to my Instagram page, channel, whatever it's called, Instagram section profile. And I just did a live just walking through just so you can get a sense of what the lifestyle is like here, what the cost of living is like here, and why I think it's of added value. Now I'm going to be covering this all in detail. Sun Goddess, cool. I'm going to be covering this all in detail. So for anybody who's kind of been watching my series of, leaving the United States and where would I go and what sort of cities fit into my overall strategy of living throughout the world, stay tuned for that. I've been recording on this trip, the previous trip. Like I said, the content's changing. So look out for that. It should be rather interesting. Sun Goddess has a question. I have a question about stacking. I've been unable to get anyone on the phone at Bloomberg Excelsior. What do you think about LegalZoom? I find it really hard to believe that you can't get anybody on the phone at Bloomberg. Sorry. Well, sorry. What was I saying? Yeah, Bloomberg Excelsior, you should be able to get somebody on the phone. If not, you could send them a contact. I actually have an email. I'm going to put the email address for one of my Bloomberg contacts. And then let me just go into one of these footers. I'm going to just give you all their contact information right here so that you can speak to somebody in the organization. They should be able to handle it. Here's one person's contacts. So I just put it down below. Her name, oh man, it came out all crazy. But her name is Anna, okay? Anna could at least, you can call in, you can get routed to somebody's somebody's extension. You can shoot her an email, and she'll get you in the right direction, give you the right representative to handle things in your state. Bloomberg is based out of New York City, and I know that a lot of people were working remotely during the pandemic. So I know that they were having some logistic issues with that, but I've been able to set up new entities without much of a problem, just shooting an email to my contact and then creating a new LLC or corporation. LegalZoom, not a fan of LegalZoom. I've used LegalZoom once, and what I saw immediately, because like LegalZoom had dangled like a lower price to set up. What is Bloomberg? Bloomberg Excelsior is a corporate, I guess, agency that helps you set up your entities. So whether you're starting a sole proprietorship, corporation, LLC, assistance with your tax ID numbers, getting your corporate kit, your shares, your corporate seals, that sort of thing. They're, by definition, I guess they're a service that assists corporations. I don't know what the technical term is, but that's what they do. So yeah, that's what Bloomberg Excelsior is. So rather than using LegalZoom, which LegalZoom essentially does that and I guess other legal services. But what I noticed with LegalZoom is that they nickel and dime you and upsell you on every single service. So like the advertised rate of set up your LLC or corporation for this price ends up being a lot higher. And then you don't really have a direct, contact. With Bloomberg, I know I get somebody on the phone. They get back to me. I'm dealing with real people. They're quick. Their prices are reasonable. That's who I work with. Like I said, I've used LegalZoom once, and I've probably created more than 30 entities in my life, either for other people or for properties or projects that are specific to a certain deal. Probably more than 30. So, and I do them all through Bloomberg. And that's in multiple states. So it's what is the average cost to set up an LLC with this company? I don't know their pricing structure, but let's just take a look. So an LLC, the costs are going to vary state to state, right? Because they're going to charge you their service fee on top of the fee that is published by the state. So the state, has their corporate filing fees. Let's see. What state are you in? I'm going to see what they're saying here. Okay, so for example, in New York, to form a corporation is $263, and that's probably with the most basic corporate kit. And that includes, and this is exactly, if you go to their website, you'll see exactly what I mean. So that includes your corporate kit, your filing and your filing fees, the disbursements to the state, and no additional cost. Don't be surprised by the add-on fees. They're talking directly about LegalZoom. So if you form an entity in New York, LLC is $369, corporation is $263, and a nonprofit is $425. In New Jersey, it's $325 for an LLC. In Delaware, it's $312. In Florida, it's $322. In Texas, it's $468. Nevada is $621. So, based on this listing, it's for an LLC, it's between $300 and $600. Corporations are between $198 in Nevada to $464 in Texas. And the nonprofit in Texas is only $180. So you see by that, the rates are all over the map. But that's their fee for their services, your corporate kit, which includes like your original shares, operating agreement or shareholder agreement, bylaws, your corporate seal, everything that you would need to get at least the corporate side of things down. So Donna, in Texas, as I just mentioned, LLC is going to be $468.25. Now, in New York, there's a add-on for LLCs. And what do I mean by that? New York requires that you publish your LLC in a highly circulated newspaper, which is absolutely stupid, but they make you do that. So if you end up doing the publication and paying for the publication fee, it'll tack on like an extra $1,000 to $2,000 depending on what county you set your LLC in, right? Because you got to literally pay for 2 weeks in multiple publications announcing your LLC has come to existence. That's a New York thing. I don't know if Texas has the same. I've got about 3 more minutes before I jet out of here. Hey, Carl, so happy to see you live. I have a question. Aside from the cost of your program, how much money should I have in reserve when starting my staffing firm for payroll, insurance, etc.? I think, at minimum, you should have about $25,000. And I'll kind of give you a breakdown as to why is that. Your workers' compensation, you're going to have to pay some sort of deposit and starting point for that. You're going to need general liability insurance. You're going to need professional insurance. That's going to cost you a few $100s to a few $1,000s, depending on what sort of facility you're insuring, et cetera. So let's just say right out the gate, an insurance cost anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. The rest of your costs, let's say at $20,000, could be your payroll flow. Now, I usually recommend that you have at least 60 days of payroll in cash, just because you're going to be servicing your vendors. There's going to be some sort of invoice cycle, and you want to be able to at least cover whatever your invoice cycle is and whatever your pay cycle is and your billing cycle. So typically that's going to be about 60 days. Now, in the course, I talk about other ways that you could finance your payroll and advance your payroll and things like that, which obviously I'm not just dropping information for free like that out here. So if you're at bare minimum, I would say have $25,000 in reserves, but there's other ways to kind of navigate that by just being crafty with how you float your payroll. Because the biggest expense and carrying cost for your staffing agent, I'm sorry about this lighting, but the biggest issue is going to be floating that payroll. So that's what you need to solve for. The amount of money that you need to start, the actual cost, I think you can get it done from creating your entity, your insurance, maybe your initial legal consult, and your setup fees with your attorney should be done for less than $5,000. Megan, I usually, in like my normal phase, I go live weekly. I might be going live again next Wednesday or Thursday. Usually what I do is I release a video on Sunday and then go live on Wednesday. This week I was delayed. Video came out Monday, live is tonight on Thursday. And I usually chat it up for about an hour or so. But yeah, you're always welcome. I do one-on-one consultations now. So you're always welcome to kind of, book some time with me and discuss what you want to discuss. You get an hour of, direction, and I think it's more than worth it. I used to charge $450 for that. For most people, that was kind of outside of their budget. But I think I open up like 2 slots a week, and that's kind of like my way of kind of giving concierge sort of consulting advice without breaking anybody's bank, and making it worth it to not just constantly be telling people how they should do things. So that's what that is. So if you're interested in that, you could always go to my Calendly to book an appointment, and whatever slots are open. Let me get you the Calendly link so that you know where to go. And we'll close out on that. Hold on 1 second. Sorry for the huge dead space, but I gotta click around and look for this. Edited video. And I think, for the most part, for the most part, uh, I'd rather keep the consultations to the things that I'm proficient in, which are going to be home healthcare staffing, and investing in real estate. So I think if you're interested in that segment or that slice of information, you'll probably get the most value out of it. I recently had someone who came from another program, um, that was starting a staffing agency, and I guess they had been following me too or somehow. And in kind of covering some of the questions that she had, it was quite evident that there were some gaps in that training, meaning like from an accounting standpoint, from an economic standpoint, how to structure the company, which I understand because maybe they're just looking like how to get you started. But I think it's really important that you have good mm, financial structure, because when it's time for you to get a loan, sell your business, whatever it is, your financials are going to be the thing that they care about the most, and then the organization of your company. So I think, for those of you who are thinking about going in those three tracks, like I said, that's my home. That's where I spent my entire life. Healthcare staffing, home health, real estate investing since 2006, so 15 years in at this point. Um, Healthcare staffing since 1996, so that's 25 years. So that's my home. So if you need any advice in those particular areas, I can help you there. Obviously, we're talking about Airbnb, renovating properties, maybe how to buy and sell, how to flip. Those sort of conversations are what I would prefer to talk about. I do not set up home care agencies. Like I don't consult and do that. That's, like I said, it's a heavy lift for me to do on my own. I wouldn't do it on my own ever again. I leave that up to consultants. That's what they do. So if you need an introduction there, you always can shoot me an email at info@entplife.com. And I'll just post that for the very end. You can shoot an email to me there. That way it gets filtered out to the appropriate channels. So like everything that comes in from info gets filtered out to the different things that I talk about: aviation, real estate, home care, healthcare staffing, Airbnbs, international travel. So just make sure your subject line is clear. We filter it out, and I kind of address it based on what I'm covering at the time, and get some whatever information you're looking for, get whatever answer that you need. But thank you for joining me here at ENTP Life. If you know a friend or anybody that could benefit from the information that I share at the channel, make sure you share this video with them. Don't forget to like this video, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. It all really helps. Obviously, all YouTubers say it, but it really helps YouTube know that we're talking about quality things. And if you feel that other people could actually benefit from the information that I share here, then do me a favor, share it out, push it out. The more of you that are kind of sharing, the stronger this community becomes. There's people here who meet each other, who share information, who share contacts. Really, that's what I want to build out of this ENTP Life community. It's a knowledge center where people trade information and ultimately improve their lives so that they can go out there and live their dreams. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you in the next one.